Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell, and we are back, scaringly, with another live recorded actual play Enclave session. I am joined by two wonderful friends who are both very accomplished conduits, and I will leave them to introduce themselves, starting with Rich.
Hello, Rich DiTullio, playing of RPGs for 40 years. Relative newcomer to Enclave, but enjoying every minute of my stay.
And still making quite the splash, and then Lee.
Hi, I'm Ven Lee. Nice to see people again. I've been around. I've known Robbie for 10 years. I've been playing Enclave for 10 of them, helping out with the game for about 7. I don't know how time works anymore. Here to shake some things up.
Yeah.
My camera's up there. I'm going to be looking there. It's going to be a whole mess.
And for your characters, let's hear first about Rich's character, Ty.
Hello, I have brought Ty the Bogatir. My wandering warrior is actually coming from a Chinese background. He was a former soldier who became a Shaolin monk. Really excelled at the physical stuff, but his sensei came to him like, enlightenment does not seem to be working out for you. Maybe you should just go out into the world and maybe putting it into practice is where you're going to find your way.
Totally. And next up, Kaz.
Yes, Kaz comes from a sort of, a very cyberpunk adjacent style background. He has a good bit of chrome and sort of augments built into his body, and he was a former fixer. He was sent to handle problems, make problems go away. Though he always preferred to handle them diplomatically. His sidearm was never not an option. As a 5'10", sort of deeply tan-skinned individual, thick stubble that sort of grays in and out, very thick brow with sort of like a Roman nose and freckles. He's got a scally cap on. A set of sort of silver augments that sort of wrap around his eyes. And this very, very long, sort of, like about just under hip length coat that is sort of like rolled up and bunched, and it is utterly scuffed, even though it looks like it used to be a beautiful piece of uniform.
Marvelous. And for these characters, I received the following focus words. For one, bounding spring. 2, hourglass. And 3, idly do the leaves fall. And for that, you are going to be receiving the following mission. You are all being sent to a distant, remote glade, wherein dwell 2 creatures of legend. They are gazelles, the both of them. In the wake of one, plants spring to life. In the wake of the other, autumn comes. The 2 twine eternally through this glade, bringing spring and autumn with their passing. And so too do they bring spring and autumn respectively to other beings in their wake. When they pass by, when the spring one passes by people, they de-age. When the autumn passes by, they age. You both are being sent to deal with a woman and her troop who seek to capture the spring gazelle such that she may have infinite youth. Your goal is simple, which is to ensure by hook or by crook that she does not, and that the 2 gazelles remain free. In this glade, the Forest of Seasons, there is at its heart a pool of water, which is called Fathom's Well. This is the only place that the 2 gazelles are known to regularly convene to drink. It is at Fathom's Well that she intends to spring her trap. She and her men have been tromping through, trying to chase them and flush them out for quite some time now. However, their goal isn't to catch them, it's to drive them to Fathom's Well, tire them out so they need a drink. And as such, you guys are going to be ported in while they are in the process of chasing the gazelles in towards this pool at the center. And you will have to work fast, for it will soon be the case that the gazelles will come to drink, and all will come to a head. Bear in mind, by the way, that neither of you are in any way protected to or immune to the gazelle's magic. And so it's time to start considering what your characters would look like about 20 to 40 years younger and about 20 to 40 years older than they currently are. Questions?
Number of the troop and tools / tech at their disposal.
About a dozen, and we're talking loose Renaissance. They do have firearms, but it's not necessarily what they're going to be defaulting to. Their goal isn't necessarily to kill, though they are ready to defend themselves. They are the woman who leads them is named Cinder. She is a noblewoman with no combat experience whatsoever.
When we say in the gazelle's wake, how close do we have to be affected by them?
Even if it's passing by you, think of it like a boat on the water. If you're like right next to it, the wake won't touch you. But if you stay there, then it will kind of fan out behind it and eventually pass across you.
Okay. Stay to the front of the gazelles. Got it. Okay.
And that wake lingers for a little while in their passing too, which further complicates things.
If you just stand in the wake one way or another, can it age or de-age you unto death? Or does it just make you young / old?
It is a young / old thing. However, there are other associated miraculous things that have been seen. For example, the Gazelle of Spring will heal people who are in its wake, whereas the Gazelle of Autumn will intensify wounds dramatically.
And
other questions?
Yeah, is the goal to keep them from being caught, or is it to keep Cinder from getting eternal youth?
The goal is ideally to prevent them from being caught, but if there is no other potential way, then it is better that no one have them. Final questions?
No more from me.
Excellent. In that case, let's go to assembly. Brought together in the vast expanse of Enclave HQ, gray and sleek, to a trim meeting room, outfitted with various refreshments that your characters might want, a faceless attendant, and the telepads along the far wall. A brief description of what your character looks like and their first actions upon entering the assembly room, beginning with Ty.
Okay. Ty is a bald Chinese man, about 5'5". He is dressed in the simple orange robe of a Shaolin monk, heavily muscled. His bludgeon is actually one of those staves that the holy men will carry with the jangly rings at the top. He carries a toolbox, which, amongst other things, beside all the tools, has a helmet just upside down in the back of it. It's currently holding nails and screws. And he comes into the room, places down his toolbox and his staff against a chair, and immediately goes to grab a giant bowl of noodles in broth, which he is hungrily slurping down with chopsticks while he has the chance.
And Kaz, brief reminder of physical appearance and first actions upon entering.
Yeah, so about 5'10", deep tan skin, sort of thick black hair, heavy stubble, which is sort of gray moving throughout it, sort of like Roman style bridge nose, very sort of intense brow, sort of light freckling all across his cheeks, very like Porpo aesthetic, shall we say, like gear that looked like it used to be beautiful and sleek and like neo chic, but is now like has rumbled through the mud. Patches everywhere, like whatever the new duct tape is called, neo duct tape, absolutely like rebinding things. The only thing that on him that looks in any degree of sort of well kept manner are a nice looking to be like a handmade leather scally cap, as well as his sidearm, which is holstered on his back, on the back of his belt.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll come in sort of shuffling, sort of like loosely shuffling a deck of cards, doing this like a sort of one-handed cut and resetting, and sort of clocking, to him a relic of the past, just sort of.
Whereas, of course, Ty has no frame of reference what just walked in the door.
Nope.
And as you walk in, just like points with his chopstick at you. Oi! Is all of that metal supposed to be there?
The metal. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like stitches. Old coat fixed. It's not getting into it. It will is not going to help us solve this problem. Points to the bowl of noodles and broth. Is that any good?
Quite excellent. I haven't gotten out of the habit of grabbing a meal when you can. Army training, you know.
Oh, kinda.
Slurp, slurp.
Yeah, I mean, from the one time I've done this, it seems that people are throwing their lives away a lot. So last meal is always good. I'll have one of those too. I'm Kaz. Nice to meet you.
Ty.
A pleasure.
Good to see you too.
Kaz would notice that there's a bowl of noodles waiting for him, where he could have sworn there had been nothing a moment ago.
Right. Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to tip yet or not. So, Ty, is there a way that you'd prefer to go about this?
Boldly is the only way I go about anything.
Damn. That's definitely a take. How about this? Is there a method of strategy in which you mean to employ? They told me a little bit about you, of how you tend to operate, but I'm not a mystical man. I have my superstitions and my beliefs, but I am very averse to the true nature of weird nature. And from what I can tell, you are a man more in tune in one way or another. Is there a way you'd like to do this? My preferred strategy is to kill both of these creatures, as it solves it quickly.
I find it is never wise to mess with the seasons more than you can. If they can live, that is how it should be done.
Okay. Well,
by contrast, if the dozen or so people trying to catch the gazelles die, I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, nor I. I have. This is not a place that I hang my coat, so I'm not too partial to anyone liking me or remembering me. I don't plan to come back. I don't plan to be history here. We're here to do a job. I try really hard to operate quickly and cleanly. So if you think it will be easier to begin taking out these poachers or these herdsmen, whatever they are, that's definitely a route we can take. I want us to be on the same page. I don't want us having different plans. We should be working together. I've seen too much of that.
All of these separate missions are all part of my personal journey to try and find my peace, my enlightenment through action, since meditation did not work for me. I don't see myself achieving that through death of a season, even if it's not my own.
Okay.
Saving a season, that I can do.
Hey, I'll drink to that, and I sip some soup.
And as you do so, the Enclave attendant turns on a heel and strides from the room. And as the door shuts smoothly behind them, there's a gentle gleam as the two telepads spring to life. With soup bowls empty, final actions, beginning with Kaz.
Well, here, I'll let you take the lead then. You seem a bit more of a scrappy fellow.
I
If there's
do
a way to
enjoy
do
it.
this peacefully, I'm sure you'll find it faster than me.
Sometimes peace only comes through unfortunate action. We shall see. He reaches down, grabs his staff with the iron rings at the top, and kind of pleasantly jangles to the telepad. Just to give you a quite clear thing, stealth is not an option with Ty present. Not for him, anyway.
And as Ty jangles over to the telepad, final actions as well from Kaz before he takes his place.
I'm gonna find somewhere on the commissary table a singular cigarette. I'm just gonna put it in my mouth, not light it, and just sort of like nibble at it.
Yeah.
And stand on the teleportation pad.
And as you take your places atop the telepads, you feel the dissociation begin to tingle up from your toes, moving up your legs, leaving them asleep in its wake. When the tingling passes your midsection, your guts churn violently, and then you no longer feel them. When it passes your chest, your heart flutters, and then you no longer feel it beat. And when the tingling passes your eyes, your vision explodes into ribbons of color. There's a buzzing in your ears. The world falls away, and then there is nothing. But as swiftly as the sensation came, it leaves, and you hear behind you the gentle, sweeping sounds of wind in the leaves. You hear the soft sounds of water. You hear a faint crackle of smokeless fire. All around you, there are the beautiful, pleasant smells of spring, strangely interwoven with the sultry scents of autumn. They blend together as if in one in each nostril, an unconventional sensation, to say the least. But you find that you are on the banks of the beautiful glassy pool. It's not fed by a waterfall or anything like that, just a nice clean pool with woods all around that are a riotous combination of bright pink and green of early buds and the flaming orangey reds of autumn. So too, however, do you notice a handful of small smokeless fires sitting in neat braziers that are positioned at three of the four cardinal directions around the pond. You also would hear off in the woods the distant sounds of shouting, as well as the occasional great flurry of leaves that tumble down in front of you. Immediate actions upon porting in, we will begin with Kaz.
All right. Kaz is going to lean down or actually he's going to quickly he's doing a quick survey of the area, and he wants to try and find a place where it looks like the two gazelles like crossed each other.
Yeah, just by like how the foliage is colored.
Yeah, just sort of like, okay, that tree has falling leaves, that one has new buds, they are right next to each other. There.
Yep. And that is not terribly far off. They crisscross in many directions, but you see a very neat aisle of spring that like perfectly bisects an aisle of autumn.
Perfect. Kaz is going to stand in the middle of that and just sort of breathe it in. And as he does, he's going to move his head sort of side to side, trying to isolate his nostrils and really get a smell for these two things. You know, trying to be able to like really distinguish that crisp, cold, beginning of decay versus the sudden gush of life, that initial burst, that birth feeling and just sort of mentally isolated because he's never going to be able to do this again, and this is really weird.
Absolutely. And as he slowly moves over and stands where spring intersects autumn, immediate actions from Ty.
No. Not immediately noticeable unless you're particularly acute. But Ty is just kind of leaning heavily on his staff for a moment and reacting to the transport with, I wish taking my mind away worked. Takes a moment to get his bearings. His attention is on these 3 braziers.
Yeah.
Because it's like, gazelles don't use fire pots. What's going on here?
Yep, absolutely. They're very deliberately placed. They are burning a strange beige gray fuel that you cannot immediately identify. They are again completely smokeless, but so too are they. Are they not burning particularly fiercely? You can think of them almost like oversized candles in terms of the size of their flames.
And pure metal. Is there any way to pick them up without hurting the hands?
Yes, they have like a swing up handle, almost like a cauldron,
Okay.
quite oversized so as to give plenty of room between the hand and the flame.
Okay. He attempts to just pick one up and move it out of position.
And this he does quite effortlessly.
Okay, cool. I feel this doesn't belong here. I'm going to find somewhere else for it. And for now, he's just carrying it along with his toolbox.
Certainly, just toting it around with him. Where would he like to position himself from here? In what direction would he like to go? Off with Kaz or elsewhere?
Okay. So these were placed at 3 cardinal points, with a 4th one opened. To his mind, that means a trap with 1 door they were planning to close with a 4th brazier. So he's going to go in that cardinal direction, looking for a place to keep an eye out for things.
Absolutely. As he is doing so, Kaz would get slightly more warning than Ty, but Ty is closer to it, so you'd both kind of hear it at about the same time. You would hear a sudden, quick skittering through the leaves. It's light and dainty, but comes up fast in the direction of Ty, who is currently roughly to the left of Kaz, through the trees a bit, obscured by gently falling leaves, which cast a thin veil across the entirety of the place. Reactions from Kaz first.
Something's coming. That way.
And Ty responses. Kaz is again only barely in eyesight to your right.
Okay. Hearing what sounds like one of the gazelles incoming, Ty is trying to just get to the side behind a tree to try and not be in this thing's wake if it's truly coming from that direction.
Yeah. And as it like whips past at substantial speed, a gazelle can run like 40, 50 miles an hour when they really want to. And this one, you can see as it blows past, is not just a flesh and blood gazelle. Its body is beautifully dappled, but it looks more like wickerwork than like a flesh and blood creature. An animal of old knotted vines that are currently shedding their autumnal leaves and are even thick with heavy berries and fruit. It is a creature as much of the forest as it transforms the forest. And as it comes sprinting out into the clearing, again, gazelle-like in its movements and its shape, even if not in flesh, it, like, I don't know if you know the word stot, but it does like an incredibly high jump, almost like a cat that got surprised by something it didn't expect to be there, and leaps up and backwards and away from one of the braziers that was not taken by Ty. Ty, you can see obviously the force transforms in its wake, and again a neat aisle that gently fans the further it gets away, but doesn't go too much more than, to give like a rough analog, like a one-way street, including sidewalks in terms of its total diameter. As the autumn gazelle comes sprinting into the clearing, Kaz, actions you would like to take, especially upon seeing it do that like high surprise jump into the air to get away from the sudden brazier.
All right. I will say out loud as I'm doing my follow-up action. Brazier's bad. I'm going to pick up since I'm in the middle of these two intersecting points, I'm going to pick up a handful of fresh leaves.
Yeah.
Of and I'm going to throw them in the air ahead of me, and I'm going to back away. And I'm going to continue this, using it to try to gauge the range at which this wake actually works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that getting to see the leaves turn, hopefully before I do.
Yep. As you are backing away, your voice causes the gazelle to start again, and it turns elegantly on the spot and springs off in a different direction, away from both you, your companion, and the nearest brazier. If again you were 3 points of a compass, it would be going off the fourth direction. As it goes sprinting away, however, the wake surely turns the leaves in midair. You can see them as they are falling midway down. As soon as it turns and passes by, the wind from it slightly buffeting them in the air, you can see them immediately go from crisp and green to yellowing to oranging to redding to brown to dead on the ground. It's within the course of seconds the entire transformation takes place.
Cool. And I was sort of like dashing back a little bit, so like being like to see where it stops.
Yep. And you
I'm definitely pulling my cloak around, sort of like keeping the cloak up, trying to keep that sort of. I guess this is environmental protection. No, this is an environmental effect. It is the seasons, so
it does not quite get to Kaz's feet. Though if he had not staggered backwards, it may have. Again, it's about like a one-way street with sidewalks in terms of total diameter of this entire thing. So it's not terrifically long, but it's close enough that if it were to blow past you and you weren't to get out of the way immediately, you'd be caught in it.
Cool.
As it goes sprinting away from the two of you, other follow-up actions from Ty, especially given your position behind the tree, that wake would actually come quite close to your hiding spot, but not all the way. The tree that you're hiding behind is now like half autumn, half spring on either side.
Gotcha. I am. Yeah, I mean, trying to predict this thing's movements is tricky, but I'm going to move springward and hide behind a different tree at this point. When he gets to that spot, he is going to crouch down and rummage through his toolbox a bit and come up with a gardener's spade.
Yep, absolutely.
And he basically just talks to it. Dig and throw, little shovel. Smother the flames. Activate Samusek, throwing the shovel towards the braziers.
Yep, absolutely. And the shovel zooms through the air, obediently, plunges its blade down into the soft, loamy earth, and starts to heap a couple of quick scoops onto each of the remaining braziers. As it is doing so, do you want to have the same done to the one you are carrying, or keep that to yourself?
No, I'm holding on to that one. Having a personal ward against these things might not be such a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And having tucked yourself away behind another tree, you would also be slightly in closer proximity to the way it came from, not in its wake, of course, but in closer proximity. And you would also hear the distant sounds of men's voices yelling, but not close enough that you can yet hear their feet crunching in the leaves. Something else that Ty would probably pick out at this point is he is standing in an area of spring and is yet not youthening. And so clearly there is some amount of time after which they pass that the effects of their wake wear off. Or perhaps the spring that you are in currently is not quite as springy as the spring that comes when the gazelle passes. You do see that the autumn that is in its direct wake is far more dramatic and boisterous than the autumns that you see elsewhere. Before we go further there, however, Kaz, jumping back over to you, once as the gazelle goes prancing away and dives back into the trees, you see a garden spade zooming past and begin to heap fire or heap dirt onto the fires of its own volition. Actions that you would like to take as you see Ty also repositioning to a different tree.
Huh. I'm gonna follow that. That gazelle. I'm gonna say that out loud. That is, just gonna look at Ty. I'm gonna follow that gazelle.
And
My reaction is better you than me.
how will you do so while not being in the wake? Is this going to be just like off to the left or right of the wake and just trying to follow it at speed, or are you going slowly? What are you going for here?
I'm gonna be going slowly. Now, from what I understand, these people mostly just have an interest in the Gazelle of Youth.
Yep, the spring one.
However, from what I also said is that these two sort of run with each other.
Yep.
They crisscross. Kaz currently, and he's sort of processing this out as he's just sort of holding a crumbled leaf that was just young a few moments ago, and just thinks to himself, "It's gonna be so much easier to shoot these people if they're old, and if their guns are old." Yeah. So his goal from this point on is to corral this creature towards the people and summarily deal with them.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
as far as Ty says, like the best, he was like, "What if these 12 die instead?" I was like, "Not a bad idea. Cool, let's go."
And as you go moving after it, describe to me the manner in which you're pursuing. Are you maximizing speed? Obviously, this thing is incredibly fast and very skittish. So how are you going to be going after it? Fortunately, tracking is no issue.
Tracking is no issue. All I want to do actually is track the trail. I want to sort of move in line with the in line with it, and then anytime it moves, like the second I see the trail veer one way or another, I would like to create a tangent off that direction
Yeah.
instead of just following directly on the trail. Because I'll be able to see where it zigs and zags, and ideally, I'll be able to see people near it or like who are around it once that becomes relevant. Because if I Kaz isn't slow, but he doesn't. Nor is he fast. Right. Goodbye. Uh, and yeah. I have no buffs to my vigor. I'm mostly trying to move smoothly, letting the forest sort of like letting my coat keep the forest from pulling on me. Just so that he can effectively find his targets.
Yep. And as you do so, of course, the sound of wind in the leaves would obstruct much noise, but you would hear the distant sound of men, and you would occasionally hear a sharp crack, immediately reminiscent as gunpowder, but not necessarily the gunpowder of a gun. It maybe sounds more like a firework of some kind.
Or like an arquebus sort of
Yeah,
thing.
possibly like that.
Cool.
You would also come across as you are traveling that almost every time you hear a crack, not far up ahead, you would see a zig or a zag, and you would also hear the voices of men. Again, maybe not drawing in close to you, but you're more like you're drawing closer to them. Uh, for example, up ahead you would hear just like a distant yell, and then a follow up of a yell, almost like they're communicating back, not like a scream panic, but just like a communicative over here sort of thing, but not with those precise words. And so too further as you would go following the zigging and zagging trail, would you hear like a sound of a blast go off, followed by fire at this port. And sure enough, not too far after, you would find a brazier that seems to have been placed there to cut off the gazelle's path and redirect it sharply backwards towards the spring. So they are for in whatever way they have done so, they have clearly practiced this and are summarily corralling it back towards the center.
Okay. This is good to know. At the next action I have will be when I see the people corralling, and I can also see the creature itself, because I
Yep.
might be able to corral one towards the other.
Will you be trying to keep yourself concealed in any degree?
Yes, definitely. Sort of like letting sort of normally the coat is sort of like wrapped up underneath itself, so it's only like hip height. I'm
Yeah.
gonna sort of pull the straps to let it fully flow down, and so that I have this full. Oh, hello, dog. There was a dog now. Fully cover my legs and just you know I don't want to be noticed. I'm moving quietly and intentionally. I'm very much stalking. there's enough noise that they won't hear my footfalls on these leaves.
Certainly.
They're too focused. I'm just not going to interact with them until I have to.
And the Duster's anonymization effect will certainly help to that extent as well. Before we go further with that, jumping back over to Ty, Kaz has just informed you of his pursuit of the Autumn Gazelle. What will you be doing in the meantime?
Okay, so from here, am I hearing any of the sounds of men again?
You are.
Is it in the direction Kaz went or from any other direction?
Several directions, actually. Both the direction that the Autumn Gazelle came from, you hear a little bit. The direction that Kaz is going, you hear a little bit, including some of those sharp cracks. And also in another direction, you hear a little bit of shouting and a distant crack.
I'm going to walk in the direction that the Autumn Gazelle came from.
Yeah.
Again, trying to stay out of where the direct wake would have been, since I don't know exactly how long the aging effect lasts.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be paralleling that track back. And I am deliberately letting the rings on my staff jangle. I am trying to draw attention.
You have a double plus to vitality, I believe. Yeah. And as you are walking through the woods, the shovel, by the way, has finished its job and would come zooming back to you.
Excellent.
Will you stash it away or throw it over a shoulder or something?
No, I toss it back into the toolbox that I'm carrying.
Absolutely. And sure enough, the jangling does a lot. And within not even 20 seconds, you would start to hear the heavy footfalls coming through the leaves up ahead. Again, the perpetually swirling leaves make it so that your visibility is pretty limited, even for a forest, though it's limited by beautiful color. However, you do hear footfalls up ahead, probably of 2 people.
Okay. Ty continues to just walk towards them. He wants to meet this pair.
Yep. And you hear up ahead a gruff voice say, like, in a familiar tone, "What news?"
And he's seeing me?
Hasn't even seen you. This is when they're like approaching you, like through the mist of leaves and trees still blocking path.
Let's see. Well, a gazelle made of berries and vines came back. Is that news in these parts?
You hear that their kind of like steady trudging path like walk stops for a moment, and then you hear one of them like immediately take a couple of hurried steps and come round a tree and look at you through the swirling leaves. He is a heavy-set fellow. He is well-groomed, despite probably having been outdoors for quite some time. He's wearing a uniform of dark blue, and he has on like a great bandoliers of implements and has a few basic weapons hanging at his side. But as he kind of hurries into view, just kind of looking befuddled more than anything else, he says, "You can't be serious. If you have come to the Forest of Seasons, there is but one reason."
Oh, I can think of 2 reasons.
He says, "You don't look like you wish to age."
There are 3, my fat, befuddled friend.
And he says, his mouth kind of pursing up, "Enough of the riddles, orange-clad man. What business have you here?"
Well, if we prefer the direct approach, drops the toolbox, both hands on the staff. My business here is to stop you. And I swing the bludgeon into his head.
And as you do so, he starts to take a step back, but the long staff clongs into the side of his head rather quickly. The bludgeon has rather a fun effect on it too, which is bonus knockback that scales up with how annoyed or similar someone is with you. And your speaking in riddles makes this to the point that not only do you take him upside the head, you knock him into the nearby tree rather effortlessly, despite it not being necessarily the strongest of swings. As he goes slamming into it and slumps to the ground, the man that was positioned behind him goes, What? Please! And he holds up his hands and says,
Mm-hmm.
What means do you have to stop us, and what reason? There is nothing that could go against what you possibly could want in these parts. If you wish to try to claim one of the gazelles for yourself, then we could perhaps compromise.
But that's the problem, my craven little hunter. I wish the gazelles to go free.
Well, perhaps there's a compromise that could be had here too. He reaches up and tucks into a pocket and pulls out a handful of coins. He says, "If nothing else, let's just have time to speak of this," offering it out towards you.
If all that matters to you is money, we have nothing to talk about, my friend. Bludgeon.
And this time, as you swing the bludgeon, he does manage to get out of the way in time, though he drops the coins to the ground. However, in so doing, you see that he's produced rather an odd-looking contraption from behind his back, and he lights it with a striker that is positioned as part of the lapel of his uniform.
Oh,
It starts
lovely.
to hiss wickedly as he holds it up threateningly. He says, "Pull back your branch, or you won't like what I do to it."
How close am I to him?
The swing was like he only barely stepped away from it, so you're just outside of engagement range with your staff.
Okay. I'm actually going to want to use the momentum to charge in with the intention of kicking the thing out of his hand.
Yeah, but as you do so, as you can see, his face opens up in surprise and concern, throws the ordnance in his hand at the ground.
Okay.
As you are rushing in, you don't have time to fully react to this, of course, but what would you like to start trying to do as he is doing so?
The best I can do at this point is jab my staff into the ground and just use that as a hop step back to try and make some distance.
And as you kind of bring the staff into the ground, the ordnance goes off. It's a great, powerful blast. And that said, you don't feel your body ripped apart by shrapnel, nor do you feel your ears blown out by concussive force. Instead, you hear a high ringing in your ears. Your eyes blink with bright lights. It's more of a flashbang than anything else.
Gotcha.
As Ty staggers backwards, his staff out in front of him, but barely able to see for the great light that just ripped through his eyelids. What does he want to do?
At the moment, he closes both his eyes, remembers his training in blind fighting, and unfortunately, he doesn't have the sensory to back that up. But
Does have a plus to skill.
yeah, he does. And basically, based on last known position, he's just trying to bum rush the guy.
Absolutely. Charging in, where's staff positioned? Is it up high? Is it out forward? Where is it?
Definitely cross his body, expecting an incoming blow.
Yep, absolutely. And as he bum rushes, he takes maybe 5 rushing steps forwards and finds there to be nothing there. He definitely should have impacted the guy by now.
All right, I'm hoping that means he ran off.
Yeah, your ears are still ringing, otherwise you'd be able to hear his footsteps.
Yeah, well, for now, he at this point, he's just going to wait and see if he can. He's like looking around, head on a swivel, but if there's no sight of the guy, he's just going to give it a minute and see if his sense is clear from the flashbang.
Yeah, as his vision
anything
is
else.
kind of like winking back to where it is, he, like just before he's getting to the point where he can like properly see again, maybe like one rub of the eyes away, he does actually not hear, not see, but smell something else.
Right.
Smoke.
Okay. From what direction?
Can't tell.
Okay. But just in the air someplace.
Yeah, in the air, and it feels rather imminent. It doesn't feel like a breeze carried it to you.
So strong smell of smoke, but no obvious vision of fire anywhere.
This is just before your vision is truly clear.
Right. Well, if it doesn't appear to be right on top of me, I'm just going to try and stagger back to my toolbox.
Yep. And as Ty does so, staggering back towards his toolbox, he encounters it like a great snake that drapes suddenly across his arm. And his clearing vision sees that his like robe has caught flame. There is what looks like a hanging rope burning with fire that drapes between the branches around him.
Okay. All right. Let's see. At this point, swipe up with the bludgeon to see if I can just smack the rope off me somehow.
And this you can do quite effortlessly, in fact. It seems to have been more of like how to describe this, like a strewn item rather than something that was hung there like a trap. Like he just chucked out a burning rope to see if he could catch you. And you can see that there's a few others that had like loosely circled you into that location, though of course the man himself is probably long gone, or if he's nearby, your ears aren't quite done ringing enough to be able to pick him out. What would you like to do from here?
I'm assuming my robe is still on fire, pat it out real quick.
Not hard to do so.
And from this point, I'm relatively useless if I can't hear where my foes are coming from. I'm going to start walking back towards the pool, carrying the toolbox and the brazier, going a little bit slower, not trying to be as obvious about my presence, so there's only so little I can do to silence the rings.
Totally. The brazier feels heavier than it was before.
Does it look, well, I don't know if my eyes can tell me, does it look any different?
Yeah, it's holding it up to your face. Your vision is clear enough that you can see. There's a bomb in it.
That gets yeeted as far away from here as possible.
It detonates harmlessly about a clearing away from you. He didn't even like necessarily light it. He just left it in there so eventually the brazier's flames would catch the wick.
Interesting. I would like to pitch that now on my robe there is a valiant retelling in stitching of my clocking of the one guy and tossing of the bomb.
Absolutely done with Vishavaka.
I look way more impressive than what actually happened, but that's the way of myth. Anyway.
Before we go further, jumping back over to Kaz, you have been stalking after this thing for a few minutes now in relative calm and quiet. The forests around you are beautiful and alive, and quite textured. There's many boulders and rocky escarpments to scramble up. There's many little winding paths ducking their way among low, loamy banks. There's little patches of swamp that are alive with mosquitoes, and there's songbirds and frogs and newts everywhere. However, so too are there people, and after again a few minutes of tracking, of hearing them, you see up ahead your first sign of a person. You have seen, or not a sign of a person, an actual person. You've seen signs of them already. You see, for example, little burn marks along the ground. Best way I could describe it, like a controlled burn. And in other places, you can see controlled burns that have been bisected by autumn, which seems to scrub them away clean, like chalk off a slate. So too, do you pass by the occasional brazier, hanging from a tree or tucked away on a stone or something like that, lit with that smokeless but present fire like a candle wick. But up ahead, you can see one of the troop, the blue robes, the heavy bandolier of ordnance, and in this case, a small collection of braziers hanging from his arm as he walks, almost looks like he's counting his paces, and then sets one down before moving back to pick up another one that he had left previously.
Okay. I want to stay out of his eye line.
Yep.
And as I do, especially as I notice braziers, I just want to upend them.
Yeah.
Put them in a knoll of a tree, cover one in some as I'm seeing, just sort of oh, that.
Yeah, it's not hard to douse them in the heavy wet soils.
Perfect. And then once I see this guy, I'm gonna look around. Anyone else?
No, you hear them. There's quite a few that are in rather easy earshot, but none in eyeshot.
I'm going to approach. I'm going to, using sort of definitely leveraging my 1+2 reflex here. I'm going to pull out my revolver.
Going tree to tree, or are you in eyesight now?
Oh no, I want to stay out of eyesight. I'm gonna trying to come up behind him.
Yeah, in that case, you'll have to like take a long pause behind a tree because he's backtracking at one point. But once he turns
Yep.
around, his
Anytime
back
he's
is to you
back,
and he's pretty close to you.
yeah, perfect. Yep. No, I want to get to the point. I'm keeping an eye for anyone else. Grab my revolver by the by the barrel.
Yep.
And just as I'm looking, I want to wait for him to be I'm gonna wait for him to put a brazier down.
Yeah.
And then like as he's down like this, I'm just going to pluck up, and I want to try and hit him in the orbital with the butt of the revolver as my hand pulls across his mouth. Since he's down, I get over him and just
Yeah. Immediately you feel him twist and struggle, but you cut off a yell, and your blow that smacks him in the head, while you don't have might to back it up, you do have skill to make sure it lands. He isn't completely knocked unconscious, but his struggling is heavily cut short. What do you want to do?
Well, hey, something really cool about V1 revolvers is that my hand speed is increased while
Yes,
using
it is. And with a couple more swift blows, he finally stops moving.
The second he stops moving, I'm going to fully choke him out to make sure he dies. Because if the spring one comes by, he gets healed.
Yep. And after holding on to him for like a couple seconds into a minute, you hear some spluttering and then nothing, and then a wheeze and then a hiss and then nothing again. And he finally, you don't detect a pulse on him. And his throat is purpled. Nothing. Just the sound of leaves and the distant crack of another firework.
I try and kick some leaves over him. Actually, I will, quick as I can, like remove the robes, and just like yeah, even just like not even like take them all the way off. Just make it so like his back or his back is exposed.
Yeah.
So that he is, so that there isn't this obvious indigo just shining through the foliage.
Yeah.
Which is a great color to be found in the middle of foliage, which is, I'm guessing, why they chose it.
Indeed.
Especially in between the greens and the orange.
Mm-hmm. And what would you like to do with his
ordnance? This is some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do from here?
I want to examine the ordnance, the gear. Like, what are they using?
He's quite a lot. You see, well, you would notice a couple of things. First of all, there's a lot of little funny tools that you can't quite make out the use of immediately, but you detect no less than 4 different types of probably firework or bomb. You detect some strange coils of something. You detect a number of more basic tools like little and weapons, a little hatchet, a little knife here, a long kind of like a poker looking thing that looks like it would be pretty wicked in a fight if they needed to use it. It's an interesting medley, but not all of it is in any way immediately obvious to Kaz. But he knows what a bomb is, and it has a wick on it, so presumably that's how you'd use it.
Perfect. That's all I need to know. I will take the belt or whatever they're using to store the bombs.
Bandolier, yeah.
Bandolier, and I'll hook that underneath my.
It's hefty. Coat. It's like a solid 30 pounds of weight.
Oh, how heavy is a bomb?
Each one of them is like the size of like a meaty rock.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna smell check them to find the one that has the most gunpowder.
That's pretty easy to find.
I'm gonna take that one.
Yeah.
And I do have a question. If this might be a little metagamey, but I also think it makes sense. Kaz is a bit of a smoker, though he tries not to do it on mission. He knows what a striker strip is.
Yeah.
And you said that before that's the way they were being used. Can I identify that?
If you'd be really piecing through his stuff, you would see...
Yeah, I'm taking a second. Because, they're hunters. They have a plan. If I know their plan, I can work against it. Otherwise, I'm just killing them.
You would see the strange texture on the lapels, and you would also see the unusual rings worn on the thumbs.
Ooh, are those... Okay.
Yeah, and looking at them, they're flints, for sure. They're striking flints.
Okay. I'll grab one of the rings.
Yep.
And grab the little thing on the lapel.
Yeah, you have to tear it off, but you can, at least tuck it in a pocket or something, even if it can't attach to your own.
I will sort of nod, take the little knife, and just sort of put a hand on his back for about 1 second, and then light one of the bombs and throw it at a perpendicular to where I heard the last bomb.
Yep. And as you do so, it immediately gives like a little and hucking it goes quite a distance.
I analyze it, process the wick, and am timing it. This is now very, even though I don't have a +2 intelligence, this is very much in my wheelhouse. This is very much like skills that I am used to, of like timing grenades, processing like things moving in combat. So I want to figure out how long it takes these to detonate.
Yep. And counting. Easy 3 seconds.
Okay.
And that one goes off with quite a blast and with a little gout of fire. Though it's out of sight when it goes off.
That's fine. I'll grab another. Because do they all look different? I'm testing
They do.
these.
They have different shapes.
Cool. I'm gonna test each of them, and it just beep beep. The other two, light each of them as quick as I can.
Yeah, 4 different varieties. Yeah, and
chuck in alternate directions. I'm keeping this fourth just because it's a big boomer, and then so I'm leaving one cardinal direction open. I'm gonna go that way.
Yep, absolutely. And as you chuck one, so there's the one that goes off with a great fireball. Another goes off with a bright light and an incredibly loud blast. Another one goes off with like that classic firework, like popcorn series of a bunch of little blasts going off that lasts for a while. And the last one sends off like a great column of smoke that just plumes up. But as you were doing so, you would hear through the woods a distant voice, "Hey, what the hell do you think you're playing at? Save your ordnance, moron!"
I'm gonna call out, just sort of generically. I'm gonna raise my voice a little bit so it sounds kind of harsh and it's hard to like distinguish. Just, well, they all sparked at once. I have never seen that before, and I'm gonna hide behind a tree.
Yep. And sure enough, you can see a indigo figure appearing over like a low, muddy ridge. He kind of picks his way down the other side, and he says, "Hey, are you all right?"
I mean, a little burned over here. Holding, like, sort of keeping onto the tree. Doing. There's mud. I'm gonna do the sound of trying to like rub mud into like an ouchie.
Yeah. And as you're doing so,
and meanwhile, my gun is just ready.
Yeah, you hear him pause, and you can hear the like nervousness in his voice. He says, "What's going on? You sound strange."
Sut in the throat. I'm gonna spit one way. I'm gonna bend down and spit so that it looks like it's coming from a person who's crouched.
Yeah.
As I am, again, sort of keep it as do that, then keep my body flush to the other side.
Yeah. And as you do so, you hear him trotting over to you, and you hear him say, "Did the autumn catch you?"
I think I was too close to the wake of it, and just again trying
he's about to round the corner.
Perfect. I am going to. Left hand is going to pull out that knife.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a dash forward, and I'm going to use trick shot.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm going to dash in front of him and do this, using my hand to trick shot my hand holding the knife just square into his face.
That is quite a flourish, isn't it? And as you do so, smacking the butt of your hand, the weird like ice pick like dagger would lance up through your grip and lodge in the man's eyeball.
Go, pop, 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 pop.
And as he gets out like the start of a blood-curdling scream, the second punch would bring him down and the scream would cut short, and eventually, like within a couple seconds, he'd just be gurgling on the ground.
Sorry, that was dirty. Sorry.
Pulling out the ice pick.
I wipe the ice pick on my shirt, and I collect some of his ordnance.
Oh yeah.
I now know what the columns. I now know what they are. I want to keep one of the big bomby boys, and I want to keep one of the flashbangs.
Yeah.
I don't need to be signaling, and I'm pretty sure Kaz is not a hunter, but he's guessing that the long-term sparkly one is to keep them from going one direction from a distance.
Mm.
But he doesn't know yet. But he's gonna take those. Take a spare knife, put another quick hand on him, and just sort of, look apologetic, and then
that's rough, buddy.
go the direction he came from.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now quietly and slowly, just to see if anyone else heard or noticed anything.
You do hear more blasts, and they're a little ways. Like you've come away from the spring during this, or rather from the pool. Spring can mean multiple things in this mission, so I'll say pool. You're a ways away from the pool by now, and the sounds of blasting and shouting are closer in the direction of the pool than where you are currently. So it's almost like you've looped behind the group as they are closing in towards it.
Perfect. All right. In that case, I want to start pulling in. They're going to be hearing all the sounds, especially if they're getting closer together. I will be able to be more quiet.
Yep.
Or I can afford to be louder.
Yep.
I am looking for some woman who stands out. I am guessing that she has some form of physical burn on her because her name is Cinder. Maybe she's just like a phoenix figure. I don't know. I want to look for somebody who is doing it less herself.
Yep.
I want to look for someone who's in the middle, sort of like, like if I'm imagining like total football position, of like the players all in a grid. I'm looking for someone who's jockeying between, trying to get more people one way or another. And specifically, before we jump back to Ty, I want to look for somebody carrying more of those smoke grenades. Because those are signals. She knows the plan. She's the head of it. I'm guessing she'll have that. I don't know if she does, but those are the things Kaz is trying to gauge, majority as he's going to start coming in from behind. Because if he just sees a wall of them, then he's going to fan the hammer.
Yep.
And he's actually going to take a quick stop as he thinks that, and he's going to quickly check the gun, make sure that gun tough can hit, but wants to check. I did that a couple times. The firing pin's good. Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
smart move. I would note that in some of the more the older autumnal sections, the ones that aren't so rich and recent and vibrant, where many of the leaves have fully fallen, he can actually see a couple of smoke columns at different points through the forest. They look like they've been there a while. They're quite up high in the air. He can even smell them on the air in that kind of acrid gunpowdery sort of way. And it seems as though as he has gotten deeper into this, he is realizing the elaborateness of their setup. They clearly have quite a system in place for doing this.
They've been planning this for a while. They're trying to be immortal, so Kaz totally gets it. So
yeah, indeed.
Not his job to like it, just a job to deal with it.
Quite. And jumping back over to Ty. As Ty is trudging back towards the pool, his ears are finally clearing up. Maybe a little bit still lingering, but he can hear again at the very least. What would he like to do? Is there anything he wants to do before he comes into sight of the pool again, for example?
Ty stops for a moment, puts down his toolbox, empties the nails and screws out of his helmet, and dons his helm.
Yep.
It looks in aesthetics like one of the old samurai helmets, but it's a 1940s era metal war helmet rather than the lacquer of a ancient samurai.
Yeah, it's a kabuto-ified trench helmet.
Yeah, pretty much. Somebody painted that on the outside. So
absolutely. And after donning it, what would he like to do?
Now he's walking back towards the pool. He's again letting his staff jangle. He's trying to attract attention on the assumption that his companion is trying to avoid it. So
yeah. And as you are doing so, you would hear, not terribly far away, again, more of the bursting, more of the distant calls, that sort of thing, but also a bit closer than that, you would hear kind of a quiet, "Help, please, help." That pipes up when your jangling comes presumably into its earshot.
What direction? How far away, roughly?
To your right, not terribly far away, it's in a fresh autumnal patch, and it's out of sight of the pool.
Well, for all that Ty suspects a trap, he just likes walking through those. So he will jangle his way over
Yeah.
towards the call for help.
As he does so, will he stop shy of entering the autumn patch?
If it looks especially vibrant, yes.
It looks recent, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to try and see what he can see without stepping in.
Yeah. And while he can't see, he can hear through the leaves and the wind sound. He can hear the voice croaking towards him. I got caught. Please.
And I can't see this figure yet.
No.
Based on where I'm hearing him from,
Close.
is there anywhere I can get a look at him without stepping into the autumn?
Yeah,
patch?
if you were to wrap a little bit to the left, you could peer around where he is.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Yeah. And just like poking your head around the corner where the aisle turns slightly, you would see the man liver spotted, toothless, much of his hair fallen out, still wearing the uniform and the ordnance belt, though that too is looking ragged and old. He looks in his 90s. Help, please.
How far into the patch is he?
Quite close. He's like 2 strides in, if not even closer than that. But his back is up against kind of like a mossy bank. And given the extreme age he's been brought to, he looks too weak to even get to his feet, especially with all the heavy kit on him.
Okay. Ty puts down his toolbox and his staff, places the helm back into his box, steels himself, 2 strides, grab, 2 strides back, quick as he can.
And as he does so, and he comes out, he feels the same. The man, however, looks at him blindly, cataracts obstructing his vision. Thank you. Please, report to Lady Cinder that I got caught out of position. Unusual movements. Pretty certain that we have company. Please.
Where have you last seen the lady?
Who are you? I don't recognize your voice.
You're right, but I'm the one that pulled you from the patch. Grant me this one boon.
Well, I'll grant you the boon if you can bring me to fresh spring. I'm not much good to you if you have to carry me around, am I? And I'm holding my tongue until I have my youth back, or what was left of it. I wasn't a young man.
Now, so far as I know, it's the wake of the spring gazelle's the only thing that can fix him. The pool water won't do it, yes?
You haven't been told anything about the pool water.
No. So, that I clarify with the man. You wish me to put you in the wake of the spring gazelle, or are you asking me to take you to the pool?
Spring gazelle. I need my youth back. We've done it before, if you're new here. It works a charm.
Do you know its last position?
He says, no, I don't. I know where it should be, but if you and other meddlers about, it could be anywhere.
Well, and I prop him up against the tree. Rest here, old one. If I find the gazelle, I'll try to herd him your way.
Well, that's little solace. If nothing else, if you wish to actually have kindness in your heart and be remembered for it, you can tell my position to Lady Cinder. And if she's feeling merciful, she'll bring the gazelle my way once she's captured it. I think she will. She's not unkind, though perhaps all the excitement will sweep her up.
Well, immortality has that effect on people.
Yes, let us hope she is equal to it. If only I could see you. And he says,
Oh,
And if only I had enough strength in my hands to light an ordnance to alert the others to my position.
just as well you don't. He reaches down and rips that striker patch off his lapel.
and the man grunts and gives kind of a begrudging smirk, and he says,
I suppose you had to.
And yeah, I'm just trying to decide. It's like, do I knock out the old man? That seems a little overkill, really.
We're
But
both dealing with so many moral quandaries.
oh, no, Tice is going to leave him propped there. Drop the striker strip into his toolbox and goes jangling off.
Yep. What direction? Is he going straight towards the pool or elsewhere?
Unless I'm hearing more voices from anywhere else, I'm heading back towards the pool.
Yeah, and you do hear voices. There's none in the direction of the pool, but there's some kind of distantly in a direction that neither you nor Kaz have gone yet, and there's others echoing in the direction that Kaz went, plus a good few explosions in that direction as well.
I'm taking those explosions to mean that Kaz is having a good day. So I will continue heading towards the pool. I'm concerned to see if the trap there has been reset or not.
Yes, and indeed, the moment you come into sight of it, even if you yourself are not in sight, thanks to the swirling leaves and everything else, it has been reset. In fact, it's more elaborate than ever. The braziers have been set up in mostly the same locations, but slightly different. The one that was in the direction Kaz went has been removed, and instead is replaced by almost what looks like a little aisle of braziers in that direction, like one on each side, posted at regular intervals off in the distance. So too, do you see the faint burning outline of a couple of those strange fire ropes hanging between fresh spring trees, creating effectively an enclosure, though one with only one side actually properly walled. The funnel is pretty apparent, even just looking at it from here, however. You don't see anyone, but of course the fact that they were so recently here indicates that they probably aren't terribly far away. What would you do?
Those flaming ropes, just for clarification, they don't smell like the braziers. They're just fire itself.
They are lit. They're like clearly made of some sort of substance. They're not magical strands, but they do give off smoke, and they do have a very different odor than the scentless braziers.
Okay. So a more mundane barrier than the braziers.
Yeah,
are.
though they do like stay lit quite a long time. They see no sign of crumbling away.
Okay. All right. Ty reaches in to his toolbox and pulls out a small hatchet.
Yep.
And assuming Samosek is off cooldown,
It is.
He is sending that axe up into the air to take care of every rope hanging between the trees.
Yeah. What will he say to it, if anything?
Axe, fly high, fly true, slice and smash every rope you find.
And
hurls
the
it
axe
up into the sky.
whizzes away. And as it whips across and hacks forth the first rope, you would hear off in another side of the clearing with the pool a voice. Hey, what the hell is that? As a man springs out from behind a tree, not looking at you, but looking at the axe, as though it were like a pest, like a crow come to pick off your seeds. He's like, get out of here, and tries to like wave his hand at it, but then ducks out of the way as the axe goes whipping past him, and quickly hacks through another one. And he yells over his shoulder, "Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this?" And after a moment, you hear another voice, very different, a woman's voice, saying, "Don't worry, I do have eyes, somehow." And she, after another moment, says, "What a strange little phenomenon. Not a prank, I would assume, not at this moment. An interloper? Probably our best guess. It would be strange indeed if the gazelles of spring and autumn wielded axes, would it not be?" The man is looking much more alarmed than the smooth voice of the woman. And he says, "Well, what am I to do, madam?" And she says, "Nothing much left to do. If our ropes are to be hacked down, then we use other tools." She says, "Come behind a tree. You're making a fool of yourself." Actions that Ty would like to take. The wind has picked up again, and the sound of rattling leaves cuts off whatever else she was going to say.
All right. More or less trying to get the attention of the ones behind the trees. Again, focusing on the ones around the pool, since that's where they're trying to corral it. I just starts kicking over braziers, trying to make, again, as big a gap in their net as he can manage.
Yep. And as he does so, he hears, "There's the one!" And the man comes stumbling out from around the tree, like not even 10 seconds after he went about it. And he points out an accusatory figure. "Listen, you!" And he plucks an ordnance forth. He says, "I'll blow you sky high unless you get away from here. There's history being made today, and you are not to be the one to stop it from being made. So scat!" He lights his, the ring. He strikes the striking strip. "Hello, my friend. Not right now, okay? I'm recording, please." "Thank you." 2-year-old says hello. "You're welcome." "You're welcome, goofball. Goodbye." But you see that rather than lighting an ordnance, he instead holds up his thumb. He's wearing a glove on one thumb, and the glove's finger, like a thumb, glows as it catches fire and just holds a flame without the material being eaten away, or presumably without his finger getting hurt. "Not right now, please." "I don't know. You'll have to find him yourself." "Not in my office, he's not. I promise you that. He's sneaky, but he's not that sneaky." Pardon me. "You're welcome, goofball." And as he holds up the thumb threateningly, what would Ty like to do?
Ty actually continues walking towards the target, and it's like, "I too have learned a flaming fist style. Let us see if mine is superior to yours, shall we?"
And he says, "Well, I've outsourced my fists." He lights the bomb's wick, and you hear it start to sizzle wickedly. It's different. It looks different from the one the man dropped in the clearing. And he says, "And I don't fancy your fists against it." And he hurls it towards you.
Excellent. I count that as initiating combat. I activate trading blows.
Excellent. Any actions you like to take as the bomb comes whistling in towards you?
I'm actually swinging my bludgeon out like a baseball bat, trying to send it back to return to sender.
And as you hit, it blows. It blows this time not in like a flashbang with great sound, but in a vicious fireball that sends shards of shrapnel ripping in every direction. However, thanks to trading blows, while Ty is knocked off his feet and onto his bum, and he does have like a little scrape running along his cheek where a shrapnel piece would have buried it deep into it, he is otherwise unscathed. The man he sees from across the pool looks at him, and his cocky smile kind of comically falls. He says, "What?"
I kip up to my feet. "My turn!" And I'm charging him with the bludgeon.
He looks immediately panicked and starts to circle the pool to keep the water between you and him as he fumbles for another bomb. And he says, "My lady, retreat to the woods, to the woods."
I'm kicking over braziers as I go, just for fun. If I wasn't worried about contaminating the pool, I'd kick him in. But I don't think that's wise. And yeah, if he wants to turn this into running laps, I'm fine to oblige him for a little while. I suspect I'll catch him.
And as you do so and are sprinting around the pool, he drops, this time doesn't throw, he drops a bomb between yourself and him. It's well out of the way. It won't go off before you reach it. Or it will go off well before you reach it.
Okay. And yeah, I've seen enough of these thrown at me. Is it one of the types I've seen before?
No,
based on
different
general
type.
Size and shape. So I got no idea what this one's going to do. Well, if he dropped it way over there, it's probably going to be a problem. I'm just counting on trading blows to protect me for whatever it is.
Absolutely. And as you're running up towards it, it goes off. Like you're still quite a few paces away. But again, in that firework way of going off and having tons of tiny little snaps and pops, create almost like a barrier. It just goes off and starts to start exploding and bursting forth. And it lasts a while. By the time that you're like approaching it, it's still going very, very strong. Is Ty barging through it, or does he have another plan in mind?
How much of the area in front of me is obscured by it?
Actually pretty substantial. It has like it's put out like a bit of a radius surrounding it, enough so that you could loop around it, but it would like greatly detour your hello detour in the audience. It would greatly detour your path around the pool. Definitely enough time for him to slip into the woods.
Gotcha. Okay, just so I'm envisioning this properly, it's basically a ring of fire on the floor is what I got going on.
More like a cloud of bursting explosions.
Okay.
Of many tiny explosions, snapping and popping.
Okay. Any chance if I like lunge forward and do a roll, I could get under a bunch of it and just slide through?
It does have pretty comprehensive coverage, so you'd still take something, but you have no idea how much oomph this would actually have, especially with trading blows up.
No, Ty's willing to admit he's been beaten on this one. He loops around. If he gets away, he gets away.
Certainly. And as Ty loops around, the loop around would bring him quite close to the tree the man was hiding behind, by the way. But as he comes out the other side of the loop, sure enough, obstructed by the bursting like chaos that had been dropped in that one place, the man is gone, having clearly slipped into the trees at an unknown location somewhere around the banks of the pool.
Very well. So at this point, Ty just yells out, "Well, I don't know how battles are done in this country, but I think I've won by forfeit."
This is when I also mention trading blows locks the enemy into combat. And so as Ty calls out, he hears a scuffle, and then the man lunges from behind him and tries to drive his ice pick knife into the back of Ty's head. Now, it's a good trap, and yet trading blows means that instead of being skewered through the skull, you're just kind of like knocked forward onto the ground with a hard boof. What would you like to do as you hit?
As he's knocked me down, I'm going to go to one knee, pivot on it, and try and kick his legs out from under him.
Plus skill and reflex and might and vigor, I believe, correct?
Yes,
that's
that is
literally
all correct.
A plus
one
to
knee.
Every single relevant stat in that interaction. And you feel your leg connect satisfactorily with his. And he's knocked to the ground as his knife goes rolling away. He also, he's covered in ordnances, and landing on one of those can't be fun either. What would you like to do after knocking him to the ground? The back of Ty's head is smarting, and I'm guessing because of that, his gall would be rising somewhat thanks to trading blows. But pardon me, what do you want to do?
Oh, I was going to say, the thought that was in Ty's head is, all that ordnance all over him. What if I just lit one on fire for him? But I don't have a striker nearby. Oh,
you have the strike strip. You took one earlier.
It's true, but I don't have the flint to go with it.
You have his thumbs.
Okay, I'm liking this. Grab the strip, grab his thumb, and just light one of the bombs on his vest.
And as you do so, you see that his eyes go wide and his mouth curdles, and he starts to whimper, please, no, please.
Do you submit?
Yes, please, douse it.
I, with one hand, smooth it into the dirt. With the other hand, a chop at his neck.
With trading blows still active, it certainly doesn't do what it normally would. But instead, he clutches his neck, and he kind of looks up towards you, gulps visibly, and says, very well, you've had your surrender. And I hope you're happy with it. And he starts to, reach down towards his bandolier to take it off. That is an angry 2-year-old. Apologies.
troubles. Um,
Gonna get
Ty,
it.
if the guy reaches for anything but the belt buckle to drop it, Ty is prepared to, remove consciousness from the man.
Indeed. And eventually, after a little bit of fumbling, he unbuckles it and the bandolier slides off of him. And then he does his sheath for his sidearms. Those slide down, and he removes his gloves, and he peels the striker strip off his lapel. Raises his hands. He says, "May I go?"
You'll find one of your fellows back in the forest. He was caught in the autumn's wake. See to him.
And you see that if he did have plans for skullduggery, you see on his face that those leave him. And he goes, "Right. Don't want to leave anyone in a state they didn't come in, do we?" He says warningly. And he steps like slowly backwards, turns, still looking over his shoulder, and then runs around the edge of the lake. You hear him calling out, "Hello! Hello, where are you?" What would Ty like to do before we jump back to Kaz?
So he's yelling after the person I told him to go look for?
Yep.
Okay.
He's in the right direction. He did see the direction you came from, after all.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss another person arriving on the scene.
Indeed.
Okay. So, yeah, at this point, kind of like Kaz did earlier, it's like, ooh, I could go shopping. All right, what are some of these things that I recognize from having been thrown at me, and what do I think would go neatly into the toolbox?
You recognize 3 out of 4 of the ordnances on his person. You see a bunch of his tools. Also, given that you're from a setting that is a little bit closer to this in time than Kaz, you can also see a couple of the other interesting tools that they have and recognize them better for what precisely they are. For example, that ice pick thing clearly doubles as an awl for perhaps filtering out small amounts of gunpowder from a bomb for a lesser explosion.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that goes into the toolbox. I can always use a new awl. And as far as the others, again, like one of each of the ordinances that I recognize, and if there's room in the toolbox, what the hell, throw the 4th one. Arrange my new strike plate. Actually, just if you'll allow it to come out of the toolbox, just a really quick sew job and put that striker plate onto my robe.
I'm perfectly fine with that popping out of a toolbox. And after kitting up, what would Ty like to do?
Lady Cinder was in one direction. I'm going to go jangle in that direction and see if I can get an audience with the queen.
And as you are doing so, you hear from the far side of the clearing, it's closest to where the man had went, but more in the direction that Kaz went, the gentle, elegant, tap-dancing scuffling that heralds a gazelle rushing into the clearing.
Okay. This is fine. We are perfectly fine with this. All right. Then, if a gazelle is incoming, it's the twin desires to get out of its way and make sure whoever's chasing him goes down. So, okay, I'm going to try and take up a position where I can get a good view of where it's coming in, so I can prepare to dodge the correct direction when the wake shows up, and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, you're already in a pretty good position to do it. The side of the pool that you cornered him on is overlooking the rest of the clearing, slightly higher elevation, and it's coming from the exact opposite side, giving you a good bit of room. And as it comes sprinting in, you see it heralded just ever so slightly through the treetops before it bursts into view by orange and red. Before we go further, let's jump back over to Kaz. Kaz, actions from you. You have obviously been creeping forth, keeping absolutely concealed. And as you do so, you can see more and more evidence of their passage. Their little contrivances and tricks set up. The little bands of that burning rope held loosely across empty boughs that create these little impromptu enclosures. You can also see the crisscrossing fresh aisle of autumn being redirected back towards the pool.
Okay. I'm gonna look around to see if I can piece together which direction Spring most recently went.
Yeah.
specifically looking for gradient.
Yeah.
Trying to find like it's like, all right, that fruit looks the ripest. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still going in, like at the moment, because either way they're trying to move it in, and I'm at the end of Kaz doesn't like that this is what he's doing. It's very much the job. He wishes that this could be done with, oh hey guys, what if we didn't? But it's immortality we're talking about.
Indeed.
There's no way this is the talk. This isn't if this is tangible immortality, and he is processing that, and it's like but he is, he wants to start trying to figure out, like, again, I don't have any plus to intelligence, but I've seen how these things work, and I'm trying to, like, if I was gonna corral something, I would keep them separate.
Yep.
Because they're trying to keep them separate. They're trying to get all their ability to get everything on one. So I want to try and find the lanes that are corralling the autumn one.
Yep.
That I've been tracking so far. I'll use those as like, oh, so that was this one, that was over there. Those were keeping them from going there. And then I want to find the other lane.
Yep, absolutely. And as you do so, the thing you notice is, at least on this side of the pool, because admittedly you've only gone in one direction from the pool, all of the spring paths in this area are not recent. All of them that you've seen. None of them have the deep vibrance of the recent autumn isle. And even though they're still very clearly spring, and they still have springy things going on, first of all, you can walk in them safely, that much you know. It's only the recent, incredibly vivid ones that you can't go in without aging or presumably youthening, though you haven't seen that part yet. But it seems as though spring has not visited this side of the pool for a little bit of time. Admittedly, the isle doesn't seem to take very long in order to lose its potency, so it could be maybe just a couple hours ago, but maybe it's been days since it got onto this side. Maybe they've been corralling it on the other side for quite a long time.
Here's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
I want to look up, I want to find a bird's nest. Oh, your camera has perished, Rob.
That was weird. Excuse me. And we're back. Pardon me, you were saying?
Yeah, I want to look around for a bird's nest.
Easily done, especially in some of these older spring isles.
Because even if the things in this place are affected by this, like the wake, it doesn't seem to be wholly vertical.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see. My guess is that if I can see a bird's nest, if the bird's nests around here look more recently used than not, then spring hasn't been around here in a while, and spring is on the other side. So far, I've only seen autumn. Right? At the beginning, we saw autumn twice.
Yep, you've only seen autumn.
And it's both been on this side.
Yep.
That's telling me autumn is on this side.
Yep. And even in these older Isles of Spring, the bird's nests, they look used, but you see eggshells in them.
Yeah, cool. I'm just going to start beelining it the other way. At this, yeah, like, again, keeping some listening out for other pops and crackles. If I see any smoke, if I see anything, I'm just going for that. But otherwise, I think I need to get to the other side. I think spring is going to be on the other side.
Looping the pool?
Yeah.
Easily done.
Yeah, and definitely keeping the awl in my left hand. Or the spike. I don't know what's an awl. The spike in my left hand in case it becomes relevant. And, trying not to be seen. Like popping it, letting the coat really, really full up. And just, all right. Gotta get to the other side. Gotta get to the other side. Gotta go buy milk.
As you start to loop round where you know the pool to be, I'm guessing you're going very fast at this point, or as fast as you possibly can.
I'm like moving in short sprints so that I can like move, listen, check for anybody, move, and also lets me catch my breath because I'm Kaz. I have no blusses in my vigor.
Yep.
I'm definitely. I need to pace myself, so I'm definitely taking I'm taking it as fast as I can with reason.
And Kaz hears, fortunately, no one in this area. No sounds, no yells, no blasts. It's the most empty area of the forest he's been in thus far. And the medley of autumn and spring here is relatively blended, but also very old. Like it's clear that the gazelles have not passed here for quite some time. But then Kaz starts to pick out a smell on the air of smoke, true smoke, not fireworks smoke, not chemical, but true fire smoke. Though rather old at a guess. Like it smells more like the afters of a barbecue rather than while it's happening.
What direction?
Up ahead, based on the wind for sure.
I'm gonna go that way.
And he sees a great aisle, not of spring, not of autumn, but of char, a controlled burn that cuts a great hedge through the middle of the forest of seasons.
How wide?
About as wide as one of the gazelles, but maybe a little narrower. You are so sneaky.
Hi, Sterling.
Good night. I love you, Sterling. Good night. Thank you, Bubba. Go to Mama, please. And please close my door. I've had quite enough interruptions from you. Not right now, Sterling. Please
Go to bed.
Yes, they are playing my game. Please close the door and go to bed.
Love that now.
Goodness gracious. Now, so it's a bit narrower maybe, and it doesn't look nearly as magical as those cast by the gazelles. It's more ragged at the edges, so to speak. And also it's an old fire. There's not even the faintest little glimmers of active flame, maybe a few old coals that are still a little orange, but for the most part, it's just char at this point.
But it probably could be enough to keep them apart, given how these things aversion to flame.
Oh yeah, for sure. More than enough. Given how they freaked out at a tiny brazier, this is way more than enough.
Hey Rob, that really big bomb, like the big one, is it mostly force?
That one is force and fire.
My reasoning is like, if I was to throw that in the middle of one of these old flames, I don't think there's not enough to rekindle.
No.
Would it blow a space?
Yeah, it could cut a space.
I have
But
that.
even so, it would still smell like smoke.
Shit. Irrelevant. I'm gonna cross it.
I see what you were going for. And as you cross it, you see fresh spring aisles around here, by the way.
That's what I thought. Where's the freshest autumn aisle near this side?
Nowhere close.
None? Cool.
None.
I'm running. I'm gonna use some stamina.
Are you going towards the pool, or are you going to try to follow the spring aisle directly?
Same strategy I had before, sort of like trace it along and cut a sort of, do the dragonfly thing of like cut an intercept point.
Yep.
And leaning towards the pool side.
Yep.
Because I know that's where they're going anyway.
Yeah. You hear a few crackles on this side, a few distant yelps, but for the most part, it's relatively quiet. That is up until Kaz would start to see more of their like fire ropes, their little cordons. He's close to the pool at this point. And also he's passed by one of their big smoke signals that sends a great column up high into the sky. He can tell he's close to the pool, both because of the fact that he can like kind of smell a little bit of water in the air, but also the autumn here is a little more recent.
Autumn or spring?
Or autumn here is a little more recent. The spring is very fresh here.
That's okay. Cool beans. All right. Hey, the smoke bomb. Is it like lingering out of the bomb?
Yes, it is, though not nearly as potent as it was previously, for sure.
I would like to pick it up and walk with it.
Yep, absolutely. One looking from the outside would see the columns start to bend.
Yeah. And not walk, like jog with it at this point.
Of course.
And after until I start hearing people.
And again, you've heard a few distant calls, but are you talking like close enough to pick out words or what?
Yeah, like close enough to hear that there's people nearby. That if I was able to get a bead on somebody, I could.
Yeah. Pardon me, are you prioritizing the spring gazelle or the pool more?
Spring Gazelle.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I don't know what method the capture is. For all I know, it's some sort of For all Kaz knows, it's magical binding. He doesn't. He wants to try and screw with it ahead of time.
Yep, absolutely. And following those fresh spring aisles, you do soon come into earshot of a man calling. And the words that he says, not close enough that you'd be like easily within shot of him, but close enough that you can make out the words quite clearly, is, "He's imminent, my lady."
Cool. Is there... I'm going to pitch that from this position, the slope to... There's a bit of slope down to the pool, yeah?
Yep, gently descending elevation.
I'm going to hold this smoke bomb thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kiss the side of it. I'm going to look down towards the pool. I'm going to bowl it using trick shot.
Sick.
So that it perfectly hits a rock and so it looks, so people will notice these weird juts in the smoke and continuing to move, and I'm going to go the other direction around.
Yep.
And I want to go towards that guy, and I want to go carefully. And at this point, Kaz is going to think about all the metaphysics of this. And he's just going to hold... He's going to pick up a new leaf. A fresh new leaf.
Yep.
And he's going to just hold it in between his thumb and forefinger. And just sort of rub it.
Yeah.
Just feeling this.
As he does so, he hears a woman's voice. He hears her say,
"Even if he's imminent, he's not going to get what we need him to until autumn drinks."
and you hear him say,
"Well, yes, my lady, but autumn is inbound as well. Of course, we see the signals."
and she says, "Meddlers, though."
Can't be sure when there's meddlers about.
How close?
They're so again, you're kind of going against the elevation at the moment. They're a little up high. They're up over kind of like a heavy, like mossy bank with overgrown like grass and like undergrowth, kind of like splaying over the top like the breaker of a wave.
I would like to try and round them.
Yeah.
If they're not... There's pieces of their puzzle that are not yet in place. I don't know how much of the plan works with or without her, nor do I know if she is special.
Mm-hmm.
Kaz has not met any other magic aside from Marcus and Marcus and Ty. And he doesn't know what Ty does outside of shovels fly.
Yeah.
So he is scared at the possibility that this woman could just do something. So he is going to keep holding this leaf and just sort of bank around.
As he's circling,
yeah.
Pardon you. What were you saying?
Yeah, and I do have a question. Is this V1, V1.2?
I'll give you
1.5?
two. I'll give you two stuff.
All right, I just wanted to know for the purpose of the bandolier.
Yep.
Not relevant now.
I will give you a pitched ammo if you want it.
Wanted to start thinking it over.
As you are circling, you would hear her voice.
"That's sad." She says, "I do think it's my time to take my place in spring."
She says,
Does she sound old?
She does.
"I didn't want to do it sooner, not to get my hopes up."
And the man says,
"Hey, no disrespect, madam. I did wonder why."
She says,
You're a little young to understand it fully, but the idea of seeing who I want to be, just briefly, and then having it snatched away, it didn't fill me with delight.
Hearing that, unbeknownst to Kaz, almost as if like a weird bit of instinct flashes into him, I'm gonna use an arcane manifestation to have the leaf that I'm holding burn from the inside as a thin trail of smoke, of gray smoke, just sort of begins to rise up from it like a freshly snuffed candle, as I'm gonna let it go and continue to move around, but now really finishing that spiral and getting in closer.
You actually can see her through the leaves for the first time. You see that she's wearing kind of a dark gray, like travel coat, so to speak. It's very high collared, and you can see that her face is horribly disfigured by like an old burn, with most of her hair missing as well. And she takes a step into the fresh Isle of Spring, and you can see it's there's no other word Kaz would have for it besides a miracle, as the disfigured old woman, who admittedly stands with a very straight back, just transforms into a flaming red-haired beauty. You hear her kind of inhale in the Isle of Spring that she has stepped into. She looks over her shoulder. You're again struck by her statuesqueness, and she says, "What, do you think I was going to time this so that I would age myself to after I got disfigured?" He drops his eyes and takes off his cap and says respectfully, but clearly kind of embarrassed,
"No, pardon me. Didn't mean to stare."
How fresh does this Isle of Spring look?
Very. Like, last 5 minutes, I'd guess, given that you've seen a lot of how this behaves at this point. Maybe even less. Maybe even 2 minutes.
Did she step in? I haven't been able to do a test of how long it lasts.
Yeah. The way she's talking, though, it's definitely not permanent at this phase.
Is she staying in it, or is she like dipping?
She's staying in it. She says, "I'm not going to look at my reflection yet, though. I'll save that for the end."
I'm gonna wait.
And she beckons to him, and he, standing just outside the aisle, goes marching right next to her as they start walking away from Kaz, following the aisle in the direction it leads, which is roughly towards the pool by the slope of the elevation around you.
I'm gonna follow, as if the shadow of her old age.
Yeah. And as you creep after her, you can see that she cinches the coat tight around her waist to give herself more of a silhouette, right? And in so doing, she says, "I should have brought something more flattering, shouldn't I?" And he says,
"Well, ma'am, we didn't quite know whether we would succeed or not. I mean, it would have been some..."
"I'm kidding."
Sorry.
And jumping at this point back over towards Ty.
Hello.
Because Kaz, when we cut away from you, you would be just coming into earshot of a distant jingling. Because Ty, you had started off walking in the direction that you had last known Lady Cinder to be going.
Yes.
But, of course, interrupted by the sudden interruption of the oncoming gazelle of autumn, which blows into the clearing with the pool. What would you like to do? You're giving yourself plenty of space. You can see how it's whipping in, but it is slowing down as it approaches the pool, possibly assisted by the fact that Ty has systematically destroyed any and all fire in the area before its arrival.
Yeah, being completely unaware that the animal drinking might be a problem, I'm basically disinclined to give it its head. I'm trying to stay out of its wake.
Yeah.
This is a curiosity question. Did my axe ever come back, or is it still hacking down ropes?
The axe was on its way back, but given that it had a lot of ropes to cut, it only made it part way. So it's kind of like plopped onto the ground a little ways between you and the gazelle.
Okay. Presuming I can grab it without getting
Yeah, you
within
can snatch
gazelle death range, I will go grab that.
Yeah.
And yeah, at this point, again, just like before, listening for sounds, trying to stride boldly towards the invaders here and try and get their attention.
Now, the gazelle is also clearly listening for sounds. You see it eyeing you suspiciously, but given that you're jangling rather than exploding and that you're walking kind of away from it, it doesn't do more than look. You can see its beautiful like wooden features. They almost look like they were carven rather than organic. And it dips its head cautiously down and pips at the water just a little bit. And then after a moment, you see it plunge its almost entire muzzle in as though it were dying for a drink.
I'm just going to watch it. This is a moment of weakness for the animal.
Yeah. You can see that it doesn't grow green, of course. It is a creature of autumn, but you see that the berries do multiply on its body, and the ones that are there engorge with liquid. Many of them were looking a bit shriveled. So too, do you see that its antlers expand, or not antlers, prongs, right? Because it's a gazelle. Its prongs kind of rise higher. It's almost like they had been tapering down like the wicks of a candle. That said, it then lifts its head and is looking again towards Ty, though not quite as nervously and twitchily. And it's at this point when his jangling is met by the sound of rushing in the trees coming towards him, much more imminently than the autumn one had.
And here comes the spring. Okay. Honestly, at this point, kind of like what's been standard procedure at this point, walking in that direction with a tree I could easily dodge behind when necessary.
Indeed. Hardly can you look in that direction, though, when you see it pelting out of the trees towards you. What will you do about this? Is this like a dive out of the way thing, or do you have another plan in mind?
No, a dive out of the way sounds about right.
Yeah. And as you do so, and spring comes whipping past you with all its pleasant smells and buzzing of bees, it would very narrowly miss you. The wake just shy of your feet. But Ty would be able to scramble out of the way before the wake could fully come into place, as the spring gazelle comes prancing down the slope of the clearing towards the pool and skids to a halt next to Autumn. It also looks, just judging by the length of its prongs and the slight withered nature of the vegetation on it, is absolutely parched.
And this is potentially the moment. They're both here. They're both drinking. If the trap is going to be sprung, it's now. So Ty is just looking, watching. As much as he can, he will be these beings' guardian.
Is he getting closer to them? Because they're by the pool, and he was moving a bit away from it when the spring gazelle made its entrance.
If I can do so without stepping into Spring's wake, yes.
You certainly can. It doesn't come close to covering the entirety of the pool, so just getting onto a nearby bank would put you close. Spring comes close, and before drinking goes over to Autumn. In that kind of mammal way, they bump their muzzles together and nuzzle each other slightly. And then, looking around cautiously, it bows its head. And as it does so, you hear a sudden hissing of wicks.
Where from?
4 different directions, at a guess.
Marvelous. All right. Which one is closest to the gazelles?
At a guess, just based on your ears, probably the one closest to you, which would be in some of the thick undergrowth that is not terribly far away from where you beat that guy with trading blows.
Cool. All right, then I'm going sprinting in that direction to see if I can find or intercept what's hissing.
Absolutely. And as you do so, you hear the man suddenly take up a strangled cry of, "Interloper! The interloper's here!"
Hmm.
But as he does so, both gazelles bolt upright and go trying to pelt off in different directions. What would you like to
Excellent.
do as you are coming across him in the
Mhm.
undergrowth?
Um, I know it's been kind of repetitive, but I'm like, iron rings to man's face. I have no patience with these people anymore.
Yeah, and iron rings to man's face works pretty well. That said, what do you want to do about the ordnance that drops from his hand after you crack him across the cheek?
Which type is it? Can I recognize it or no?
Yep, off the immediate top of your head, it is for certain one of the flash barriers, the ones that linger for a while and keep snapping and popping.
Gotcha. All right. If I can basically just turn it over and rub it into the dirt to try and
Yep.
smother as many mosquitoes as possible.
Do you have a luck stat?
I do not.
Damn it. And it goes off in Ty's hand. The sudden medley of explosions. Fortunately, it doesn't blow his hands off. This one
Right.
clearly isn't meant for concussive force, but it
Right.
does lay him out on his back, his eyes winking, and also he's got a face full of firework, right? And so his mouth is numb, his face is stinging, he tastes
I'm
gunpowder.
glad I'm wearing my helm. That should help somewhat.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got a face full of it, but fortunately not everything else. And also, when he went backwards, his head thuds against a tree root, which would have been much more of a problem without that helm on. As he is kind of like getting his bearings, what does he want to do? Is he springing back to his feet immediately or something else?
No, definitely springing back to his feet immediately and drawing forth the hand axe again from his toolbox as he raises.
And he hears yelled coordinations. He hears, "Raise the cordons!" And he hears another one say, "Interloper's still on his feet, looks like," and things like that. "My lady, quick, my lady, now!" And you can see that fiery ropes are being slung proficiently up, cordoning off the pool area from a bunch of different directions. And the gazelles prance one way and then prance another, hemmed and penned and terrified.
Samasek off cooldown or
Samasek
no?
is up.
All right. Then I once again tell the axe, slash and slice, free them.
And as you do so, and the axe comes whipping into the air, you hear a voice go, "What's that? Something in the air!" And then another voice, one you recognize, yells from across the clearing, "The interloper! He can enchant his weapon to cut our ropes!"
Ah, well, you can't keep a good man down, can you?
And after casting off his axe high into the air to go try to get to the task of cutting the cordons, what does Ty want to do from here? He fortunately doesn't have an enemy breathing down his neck at the moment, but there's plenty close.
Right.
Left and right.
All right. Well, if the gazelles have sprung off in one direction, Ty goes jangling off in the other to try and draw as many to follow him as possible.
As he's looking, however, even though his axe is whipping out to try to cut down cordons, wherever it does, they deploy one of the like popping barriers there to prevent the gazelle from sprinting off through the newly opened zone.
If I am seeing my axe cut a cord and a countermeasure come up in place,
Yeah.
then I know there's somebody over there that needs a staff to the head, and I'm heading
Indeed.
in that direction.
And as Ty goes rushing off in that direction, he hears a familiar whiz and sees one of the an ordnance rolling towards him. This is one of the nasty ones.
Okay. How far away? What direction?
Since you're running, this is like rolling in to intercept where you are, meaning that probably the intention is to have it go off like right under your feet. But obviously, even if you were to like stop dead in your tracks, you'd still catch a little off of it. What do you want to do?
Right. At this point, on whatever foot I am, just do a flying lunge to get as far out of its range as I can, jumping forward towards where I'm trying to go.
Absolutely. And as you do so, and it goes off, you feel an awful throbbing in your legs. But then the throbbing goes away, like almost instantly.
I just jumped into a pile of spring, didn't I?
And looking down, you see beautiful pink buds at your feet, and your helmet isn't fitting, and your hands are looking much softer than you're familiar with them looking.
I earned those calluses by.
And looking up, you can see that the two gazelles are crisscrossing so fast. All the area in the clearing is just a mess of fresh autumn and spring, and you happen to have landed in a spring patch.
I'm tempted to just, scramble into an autumn patch just long enough to become an adult again and try and get to neutral ground.
Will he do so?
Yeah.
As you do so, however, this toolbox is hard to lift.
At this point, the toolbox can stay abandoned.
Yeah.
He will make do with bludgeon and helm.
Yep. And your novice robes kind of like gum up your legs, given they're way too long for you. Your helm is kind of like hanging awkwardly inside your face. Takes two hands to hold up, but you manage to quickly trot across and end up in the autumn. And again, the sensation is immediate. It's whispering, it's gentle, and your hands look familiar again. Fortunately, it doesn't take you past there. It seems to be like an incremental thing.
Yeah, and definitely like, okay, this is about right. Step out. It's like maybe I've lost a birthday or two, whatever. Don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you trying to get into a neutral patch?
That's all I know. Yeah, now I'm trying to. Well, I'm either trying to get to a neutral patch or I'm trying to get to a patch with a guy I can clock upside the head.
Yeah.
Because...
And given that you know where a guy to clock upside the head is, to get to him is a checkerboard of spring and autumn. Like rapid, it would take like every step would take you into a different one.
I did not do that training where I go from pillar to cross a chasm to not be able to navigate this.
Is this? Are you going to be using like your staff to like vault and stuff as you are doing so, or is this like
as much as I can, trying to minimize? I'm trying to come out roughly the same age as I went in, by the time I get to the guy.
And as you're like even leaping across the aisle, you feel yourself like shrinking and then growing again as soon as you land in another patch of autumn, and then shrinking and growing again. Your staff even becomes like shiny and new, and then back to its normal like kind of weathered state. I kind of remember you saying that the rings weren't always on the staff. Is that true, or am I hallucinating that?
No, they're always there.
They were always there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is the style of staff where it is meant to announce your presence, because it's usually held by monks that have a code of silence. Yep. That's how it announces their presence. So,
and as the jangling continues, vaulting hither and thither, shifting from probably age like 15-ish back to your standard with every time you pass between an aisle of spring, you can hear, as you are coming close, the man in the direction you know to be from is yelling, "Careful, careful, this one's coming towards me. I think I need to pull back."
My intention is not to give him the chance. Okay.
And as you do so, you come upon him as he is literally turning tail and bolting. He's dropping an ordnance behind him, and he's running through the trees in neutral territory. What do you want to do?
I can't ignore the ordnance. What I really want to do is just almost as an afterthought, just catch the ordnance with my foot, roll it over, crush it into the dirt, while swinging my bludgeon into the back of this guy's fleeing head.
That's pretty sick. And smashing the ordnance. Your swing, however, is just shy, given the multitask. He's ducked behind a tree not terribly far away, and you hear him yelling, "Help! Please, help me!"
Yeah, no, to be honest, I'm not even bothering to come around the tree. I'm just swinging the bludgeon in the assumed position where he's at.
Yep. And as you do so, you feel it hit something, though it's not a great hit. You get a little bit of an oof out of him, but nothing more. Though he does try to grab onto the other end of the bludgeon with both hands.
I'm going to bet I win this tug of war and just jerk it back.
And he stumbles out from after the tree. Still has one hand on it, but it's kind of a weak grip.
Okay. Well, then, while he's got that and I've got my one hand on it, I'm just using that as an anchor point, and I'm swinging out with a kick.
Yep. And the kick takes him hard. Is this like a mid kick, low kick, high kick? What?
I'm going for like under the armpit to send him flying.
Yeah, that's what I anticipated. And he is knocked against the tree and lets go of the bludgeon. You see, he's trying to go for his weird awl.
Yeah, no, again, if I have the chance, like he lets go, he goes against the tree, just a quick move where the bludgeon just pivots forward, trying to end this fight and his consciousness, preferably.
Yep. And with a clong, he goes down.
Mhm.
Before we go further, however, Kaz, jumping back over to you. Following her, you've only gone
So
about.
really,
Yep.
really quick. You say, as I understand it, it takes time standing in the spring, or into either of these wakes. But if you stand in it long enough, the effect will happen again. Correct? Or is it just?
The effect seems to be almost instant. However, it doesn't seem to be permanent if you can get out of the wake. Presumably, she'll have to go home at some point.
Okay, so but it won't keep de-aging her if she just stands there.
It seems to be like a fixed interval. She's boom. She's bounced down from however old she is, maybe late 70s, I'd guess, to how old she is here.
All right. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I
Course,
understood
yeah.
it. I didn't know if this was like after a minute of standing in it, you de-age again.
Yeah.
That's one plan gone. Anyway, so I'm following her still.
Yep. And after only 10 seconds of it, you hear from up ahead a sudden series of cracks and blasts and yells. Interloper! But also, quick, my lady, quick! And you can see that she goes from her kind of like placid stride to suddenly picking up the pace. Her long gray coat flaring out behind her, and the man next to her running alongside her. You hear him kind of puffingly say to her, Now or never, my lady. Best of luck to you.
All right. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
As I'm moving, I'm matching her stride. In my hand, I am withdrawing the big bomb.
Yeah.
I am cutting the wick down to the nub.
As you cut it, you can see that she has produced 2 long cords of kind of a light beige whippy material. And as she does so, you realize then that they're bound together. They're one long cord that she's holding in each hand, almost like a jump rope, that she twirls proficiently over one shoulder, kind of like someone doing rope tricks, readying it there.
Here's what I would like to do. I would like to lob this bomb unlit.
Yeah.
I would like to lob it so that it is going to be ending up right in front and above of where I saw. Actually, she's like on the edge of it, or is she in the middle of the wick?
She's not in the middle. She's close to the edge, so she can be next to her bodyguard.
Perfect. I would so if here's the wake.
Yep.
Here, hold on. Here's the wake.
Yep.
And they're like this.
Yep.
I want to lob it so that it lands, so that it ends up here.
Like mostly over her?
Sort of in between them, because I don't want it to touch the wake.
Absolutely.
And I want to time this. I've been moving in her set. I've been feeling her stride, and as I'm doing this, I'm sort of biting on the inside of whichever side her face had like.
That would be the right side, yeah.
I am biting down onto my cheek and sort of feeling out that pain. And knowing that
what's through Kaz's mind when he's doing that, yeah.
This is a job. This is a job.
Yep.
He has been sent to do a job, and he is about to kill this person. Normally, the people he is sent to kill are blitzed or already awful people who have very few morals, and this is a woman who could give the world eternal youth. And in a world where things are so simple, and he's about to kill her. And it's just a job. As he's going to lob the bomb high
Yeah.
high as he can, as he's going to speak out to the two of them. So, saying the word once it has left his vertical periphery.
Yep.
As he draws the gun and aims. And is going to speak out, activating standoff. And say, and as he does, spitting a little bit of blood. Death comes for us all, Lady Cinder.
She and her soldier stop and whirl on the spot.
The second they turn, Kaz just sort of closes his eyes and snaps his offhand. Arcane manifestation, light that cut fuse right at the nub. Just as the bomb blasts from behind her.
I am going to baseline arcane. You have done a small manifestation already. I am going to exact more of a toll for this one. Much more of a toll for this one than I normally would.
Well, then I'll do the other thing, which I was going to do. In that case, Kaz's hand there's going to be a slight whirring in Kaz's hand as he's sort of positioning this. I'm going to use the unique ammo function of the bandolier, which is skinned as a internal rail system with a hole in each of his palms that pops out the new ammo for it. And he's going to slot it into an open slot it into one of the open cylinders, and use it. And the unique ammo is going to be a striker strip.
Yep.
And
that I will take.
Fire right over top it, immediately ending standoff.
And as you do so, you get one glimpse of. You've only ever seen Lady Cinder kind of from the back and also from like the right side of her face, but you see her full from the front just for the moment. Majestic woman, without question. And loaded up with ordnance, just like the others, but though she wears it in a slightly more fashionable way, shall we say. You see the concern and fear in the eyes of her soldier, and then the bomb goes off between the two. And they're separated. The man is blasted far away from the aisle, and you can see that he is ripped up by the bomb shrapnel. It wails on him. Lady Cinder is blown into the middle of the aisle, and you can see almost immediately the wounds that rake her body start to reform. What do you want to do?
Is she still on her feet?
No, she's on her back.
Okay, I was hoping it would blow her out. Oh well. Yeah. Wounds heal. Just got to be enough of them. Shoot out, fan the hammer. As I just walk forward and I put the barrel of the gun into the line so that as it overheats and overclocks and that metal starts falling apart, it just keeps healing.
That's an excellent play. And as you do so, and bullets slam into her, healing as they do so, you can see that even between shots, she looks like she's trying to do something, to pull herself to. But you slam so many shots into her.
I shoot the ordnance.
Oh, you're going to shoot them regardless of whether you're trying to. They start going off as well, detonating on her person. And finally, you can see that where she was, there is a perfect, impeccable coat and dress over a charred skeleton, blasted to smithereens, for spring cannot heal the dead.
I'm going to turn at the soldier who got injured.
Yeah, he's groaning on the ground.
I'm going to take a fast lunge, gun straight to his temple, and just I'm sorry, and fire.
And he drops.
And I'm going to call out with my 1 vitality. If I can kill Cinder and Spring, I promise you there's no season I won't find you in. Live your mortal life. And I fire a single shot in the air, and I leave. I just walk away.
Before we go further, jumping back over to Ty.
I also have a point of will, if that helps push at him.
Jumping back over to Ty, having beaten down the fleeing soldier, would Ty be turning back towards the pool, or would he be going elsewhere?
No, most definitely. I mean, the goal of this is to try and break the cordon around the pool. So wherever the next choke point appears to be that he can get to.
Yep. But as he looks about, he can see that the soldiers are now leaving their hiding places and rushing out towards the pool, in this case, carrying braziers in their hands to keep pushing the gazelles tighter and tighter in around the pool. Though, of course, not daring to step on the checkerboard of aisles that they have left in their wake. As they do so, you hear them yelling desperately towards the woods, "Lady Cinder, now or never!" We have not quite caught up to Kaz in time. Ty, they are obviously running, like they're running to contain the gazelles, meaning that you're technically behind them, though of course they know you're there. They can easily over shoulder to see you. What do you want to do?
Well, the nice thing about holding a big metal brazier in your hands is that they're not available to defend yourself. My intention is to basically just keep going along the outer cordon, braining as many of them as possible.
As you start to approach, immediately you see the closest one to you, like takes out a bomb, like puts the brazier in his mouth and gets ready to strike it.
Let's see here. Don't have all that many tricks aside from try to get to him before he can get to me.
It's just booking it.
Pretty much. It's all I've got at the moment.
And he sets it going. This looks like a flashbang, just judging by its appearance. And you can see that, once again, he's not trying to, like, throw it at you. He's just dropping it between you and him just to cut you off.
Yeah, well, this time I know to avert my eyes. And I know his general position. I will do basically a blind bum rush.
Yep. It goes off. Boom. Your poor ears are knocked out of commission once again.
Yeah.
And you crash into him. This time, like, given that you were blind bum rushing and a flashbang goes off, you can't quite time it such that you can get a perfect, like, strike onto him. It's more just like a shoulder check into his general vicinity.
Yeah.
But as you are on top of him, what do you want to do?
Well, now that I am on top of him, I can more or less just drop the staff and start kung fuing him to unconsciousness.
Yeah.
Nice. Heel palm strike.
Pretty much, yeah. Basically going for the soft part of his throat and just, because once he stops breathing, the rest of the fight usually goes fairly quickly.
Yep. As you take him down and he falls to the ground, you can see before his eyes he transforms, his skin becoming deeply wrinkled.
I knocked him into autumn.
Yeah, you've literally just dumpstered him into autumn. From here, however, the next closest one of the opponents is cut off by the Isle of Autumn, through which the gazelle entered this area in the first place.
Yeah, that's a line I'm not willing to cross, quite literally. Let's see. Unfortunately, I abandoned my toolbox, so I can't send something. Oh, actually, well, would it survive the trip? That's the problem. When I have thrown my bludgeon into the various autumn realms, how far aged did it get?
Rusted, but not quite broken.
All right. I just kind of put my head against the rings of it. I'm sorry to ask this of you, old friend, but you can go where I cannot follow. Activate Samosek and throw the staff to take out the person across the way.
And as it goes whirling out, your ears still ringing, you can see that the two the two gazelles have turned towards you because you taking out a guy with his brazier now knocked to the ground and doused means that you are the way out.
Oy. Okay.
Perfect.
Closest tree to me?
Still in the line of fire.
So going up and about is not an issue. All right, and are they basically both running like straight out side by side?
They're not quite bolting yet. They're still scared to charge a person, clearly, even if you don't have fire. You're like less scary than the others, but still clearly scary. But they're like starting and swishing. And the guy who is closest to you immediately is trying to cut off the way, but is clotheslined by your bludgeon, so that leaves an even bigger aisle for them to get out. But you still are gumming the way to some degree, at least are scary enough to them that they're not just going to bolt.
Okay. Whichever side is not a current death area, I will just dive out of their way and let
Current
them pass.
death area.
Yeah.
And that
As opposed to a future death area, which is what's going to be behind them when they run. So
in that case, that would be scrambling up an escarpment to your right.
that'll work. I love escarpments. Let's go. Okay.
And as you do so, you hear them rushing past, whistling with leaves blowing, and barely feeling kind of like the tickle of their passage on your feet as you are like pulling yourself up and out of sight as your trusty bludgeon whips back to your hand.
I'm now picturing that I have one brand new sandal and one fraying
That's
sandal.
like exactly what I was thinking as well.
I like this pair of shoes. Anyway.
All you need is something borrowed and something blue. You got old and new right there.
And as you sit there, however, you can see that the soldiers, probably catching your breath, I'd imagine, you can see the soldiers are turning towards the woods in horror. And you can hear it too. Through the ringing in your ears, you can hear Kaz's voice yelling out. I can't remember the exact line. I don't know if Lee can either.
I can. This you how dare you? Which is, if I can kill Cinder in spring, then there is no season in which I won't find you. Go home. Live your mortal lives.
And as his voice rings out,
which were preceded by the sound of
though
And several large explosions.
Ty's ears were ringing so much he wouldn't have even picked that out. But as this happens, with the two gazelles prancing off into the woods, revitalized with water, your ears would fill with the wails, "Lady Cinder!" as the soldiers go rushing in the direction of Kaz's voice. And on top of that, your Enclave badges ping. Final actions, beginning with Ty, sitting on the top of the shallow slope as the two gazelles rush off shoulder to shoulder, their two aisles not combined, but side by side behind them.
Ty just sort of salutes them with his staff so they can hear the ringing as they're running away. He looks at where his toolbox was dropped and tries to like, all right, is it worth it? I can get a new one. It'll be fine.
Very monastic of him.
They're just things.
Yeah. You know the joke, a monk can send an email so long as there are no attachments.
no attachment.
And Kaz, after yelling out your threat to the pool out of sight, with Lady Cinder's body still smoldering nearby, final actions as you walk away.
Kaz is going to take the flashbang that he has left.
Yeah.
He's gonna break it open just with like butt of the gun. Just he's gonna take that gunpowder. I'm gonna place it on in his hand. He's gonna find a patch of autumn.
Yep, not hard to find.
He's gonna smear the right side of his face in gunpowder. gonna step into it and light it with the actual ring and striker stip he took before.
Yep.
And step into the autumn.
The sensation of autumn across him is peaceable, it's gentle. But the fire that scalds his face is anything but. Will he yell out in pain, and if not, how?
Will absolutely howl and in agony. Until, waiting to see someone, because he won't age past. Here's the thing: if I stepped in spring at any point, I would have been like 9. So he's got gray. He's still a young guy, and so I go to like 49, 55 or something. I just wait to find somebody who wait until I catch the eyes of one.
Yep.
One of these people.
You hear movement.
And just biting into his own lip to try not to scream. It's not working.
And a blue-coated figure bursts out of the trees. He has an ordnance in his hands, clearly following the sound of your screams. You.
I turn my right face to him first. This is how it should be. And I ping away.
The last thing you see is the man lighting the ordnance with hatred in his eyes as he readies to throw it at you. And on that note, we will end the mission. Ta-da! All right. Nicely done, fellows. Before anything else, a quick review of the focus words. First of all, bounding spring. Pretty obvious, but another cute part of that is, have you heard of the animal called the springbok? That is how I got the idea for it being gazelles.
I didn't know.
So it was like a triple one. And also the pool at the center, I had to use spring in a couple ways in that regard.
Oh, they're so cute. Little guy.
Then,
Rob, more antelopes than gazelles?
Pardon? That's true, but antelope is a yuckier word. Gazelle is very elegant. So too, the term hourglass, obviously having a lot to do with time and reversals thereof and counterbalances. Plus, the fact that Lady Cinder was trying to rediscover the beauty of her youth, the hourglass figure, so to speak. Third, idly do the leaves fall. Obviously a huge part of the setting. My idea to do a spring plus autumn thing, bounding spring plus leaves fall, obviously autumn. And so too, did I get the idea for having visibility be very low here. Obviously, this is a setting where stealth is a lot easier because leaves are just constantly falling and swirling about. And I thought that having two vitality characters with enemies focusing on explosions and fire would be a really interesting dynamic there. So too, pardon me, I had another point, but I forgot it. That said, do you have questions for me about calls that I made or the plot of the mission?
No, pretty straightforward.
Excellent.
Love the imagery
Great.
of it all.
Kaz is never going back there. God, no. Nope, he doesn't like that. He hated that place's the existence of that. Nope.
Pardon me, Rich. You said something and I didn't hear it.
No, I just said I love the whole imagery of the place. The constant war and pairing of spring and autumn was very, very evocative.
I had a really fun time with that too.
What
And
happened
also
to winter and summer? The turtles of winter and summer.
Excellent. Also of note, the duster did actually make Kaz resistant to the aging and youthifying effects. When you said like 50-ish for where it brought you to, I was like, that's actually correct, because if you didn't have your duster, it would have been 70.
Like 70,
yeah. So that was actually
I was processing.
Really clean play. And then let's see. I'm glad it was straightforward. I actually thought this was like, this mission came really fast when I looked at the focus words. It felt quite straightforward. And I'm glad you liked the imagery. That was something I was really pleased with as well. Yeah, so frankly, given that this was so straight ahead, if you don't have any questions, any final thoughts from you guys before we sign off?
Not really. I mean, we do need to put a name to this one, which is always
I always forget.
the trick one.
Yeah. What do we think for a name?
Ashes, ashes.
Oh, I see where you're going with that. The problem is I can think of other missions that would want that.
I know.
It's a good
my
it's a good
brain,
setup.
my brain keeps giving me the phrase "entwining time."
That's not bad either. That's not bad either. Could go with darn. I had something and then I kind of lost it. Fawn in chat said a fall's cry. There's something with fall could be kind of a clever one too. We could do something even simple like the ashes of autumn or the ashes of spring.
Oh no, the cinders of autumn.
Yes, there we go. We'll do that.
Okay.
This is incredibly dorky of me, but the name Cinder was in this case not derived necessarily from the fire thing, though that was obviously part of it. But it was also there's a Latin word, cindere, which means to cut away. So when I was like trying to think of what to name her, I kept thinking of stuff that just didn't quite fit, and then I thought of that, and I was like, oh, and then I can shorten it to Cinder. That would be fun. Because explosions. Beautiful. Thank you for reminding me. Any other final thoughts before we sign off?
No, great fun. I have to get into the headspace of the Bucketeer more because acting recklessly is not my usual mode of play.
Indeed.
No. I'm having to reconcile that. I'm like, I should hide it. No, that's not him. Go. I'm like, get out there. Make yourself known.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm very glad that a lot of my hunches were consistent, and I was like, yeah, okay. But I wanted this guy to just be a guy. Why we gotta go and do things that make him think seriously?
Well, to give you guys your credit before we do our goodbyes, to highlight some of the things I really liked that you did. First of all, Lee, obviously you've played with me multiple hundreds of times, many hundreds of times at this point, and you can read me like a frickin' book. So it wasn't any surprise that you guessed the vast majority of the twists. Things I like. Awesome positioning. I loved the entire tracking arc. It was actually really engaging. The ways that you took down enemies while preserving your cooldowns were extremely smart. I loved the ways you used trick shot. The smoke signal fuck up was great too. That's part of the big reason why she did not have reinforcements coming in, because they were trying to figure out what the hell the smoke signals in the sky meant. And frankly, the shootout into her in spring was brilliant, because you would have had to have, just even for a gunslinger, an amazing shot to kill her instantly to the point where the spring couldn't revive her. But 30 shots plus explosions off of her own ordinances will certainly do. So it was just a really good play, good character moments, and frankly I really liked your assembly. Just like this cutthroat modern hitman talking with this like monk figure being like, all right, listen buddy, can you stop fucking around? It's actually a genuinely great assembly. And speaking of which, Ty, first of all, I thought that you made great use of the Bogatir's kit, Ridge. I thought that your understanding of just like run at the problem and hit it often works with them. The Samosex were quite tight. Your use of both of you used your vitality stats really well, which is something I was looking forward to. But also, frankly, Rich, you used your vigor stat really well. I don't know if I've seen you play a vigor character before, but
First one.
Yeah, I think I might recommend speccing into it further just based on what I'm seeing from him. Similar with Lee for Kaz, I would definitely get him intelligence. He feels like an intelligence character already. We don't have an int slinger, so that could, if you decide you want to commit hard in that direction, that could be one.
Equations.
Shoot you with math. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, on top of that, Rich, your instincts to just disrupt their like fires and their setups from the very beginning of the mission was like essential. Absolutely essential. And so it let Lee handle like taking out Cinder while you were just making absolutely sure to screw the plan and make it as hard as possible for them to execute. I hope it was fun dealing with like smart but relatively cowardly enemies who are not good in combat but good at other stuff. Yeah, so that's my quick summary of what I really liked. You guys obviously played beautifully. There's no surprise about that. And
fun.
with that, I say we wrap this sucker up. So, in the same order, if we shall say our goodbyes, we'll begin with Rich.
Once again, Rich DiTullio, player of games, had a great time. Hope you all enjoyed watching with us.
Thank you as always, Rich and Lee.
I'm Lee. Thanks, guys.
And as always, my name is Robbie Howell. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. And until we meet again, ciao for now.